Greg, we've been reporting about House Republicans releasing stunning video on Monday from January 6, 2021, showing what then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said about the breach while leaving the U.S. Capitol building.
Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient.
No, there's not a question of how they had, but they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Republicans requested the video taken by Pelosi's daughter as part of her HBO documentary. Pelosi appeared on MSNBC on Monday to do some damage control and protect the narrative Democrats created to try and keep Donald Trump from returning to the White House.
The fact is that the President of the United States, the former president, and his toadies do not want to face the facts. They're trying to do revisionist history on January 6th. But we cannot let us be dragged into their, again, false impression of what happened that day. They know what happened that day.
The House GOP received the unedited video directly from HBO. Attorney General Merrick Garland wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post on Tuesday complaining that Republicans on Capitol Hill are holding his Department of Justice accountable for political targeting and lawfare. Garland said, quote, "In recent weeks, we have seen an escalation of attacks that go far beyond public scrutiny, criticism, and legitimate and necessary oversight of our work. They come in the form of conspiracy theories crafted and spread for the purpose of undermining public trust in the judicial process itself," end quote. Representative Laurel Lee of Florida says she wants to see AG Garland held in contempt for not providing the audio tapes of Robert Hur's interview of President Biden.
Because the types of assessments Special Counsel Hur made can be better assessed also having audio. Everyone knows an audio recording provides more perspective than a transcript alone. Therefore, to determine whether Special Counsel Hur appropriately carried out justice by not prosecuting the president, the recordings are necessary.
Critics point out that the Attorney General's refusal to release the audio of the Biden-Hur interview is a rejection of congressional oversight. A vote on charging Garland with contempt of Congress could take place in the House as early as today. The Pentagon recently released data indicating U.S. soldiers are more likely to die by suicide than in combat. A 5-year study by the Defense Health Agency overwhelmingly revealed suicide the leading cause of death among active duty military. The study was conducted between 2014 to 2019. It found that 96 combat-related deaths and 883 soldiers died by suicide, a total 9 times higher. The Washington Examiner and USA Today reported the suicide rate among the military has increased significantly since 2019 when the study ended. At that time, the rate was 28.8 per 100,000 soldiers. In 2023, the rate had risen to 36.6 per 100,000, and the rate for 2024 through May was 31.8 per 100,000 soldiers. The military says it has made efforts to reduce the number of suicides, including hiring professionals to address alcohol abuse, also educating soldiers on safe weapons storage, creating safeguards to impulse suicidal events. 6 Russian nationals with suspected ties to ISIS were arrested in a coordinated sting operation in Los Angeles, New York, and Philadelphia, CBS News reports. These individuals, all from Tajikistan, were detained after the FBI informed ICE about their activities. According to the New York Post, 2 others with connections to the same group were already under surveillance for months by a multi-agency joint terrorism task force. The investigation reportedly included wiretaps revealing discussions about bombs. One suspect previously released by federal authorities after entering the U.S. through the southern border had a court date next year. The Department of Homeland Security and FBI confirmed the arrests, stating that the individuals are in ICE custody pending removal proceedings. The arrested individuals had crossed the southern border, with initial vetting not revealing any negative information, which has been an ongoing challenge for the Biden administration.
Part of the problem is just the sheer volume of people coming across the border illegally somewhat overwhelms the system.
This case highlights concerns about possible terrorists exploiting the southern border, as previously warned by FBI Director Chris Wray. Mike?
Few or at least one mode of entry into the United States by illegal immigrants is being denied. The U.S. Coast Guard announced on Monday it had intercepted more than 300 migrants attempting to reach American shores last week. And unlike what typically happens at the southern border, those people were sent back to Haiti and the Bahamas. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the repatriation of 305 migrants is part of Operation Vigilant Sentry. On Sunday, the Coast Guard transferred 109 people to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And on Monday, another 196 were returned to Haiti after 2 migrant voyage interdictions, that is, on June 5th and 6th. In a statement from the Coast Guard, Lieutenant Nick Fujimoto said, District 7 enforcement officer said this: the Coast Guard urges any potential migrants considering the journey, don't take to the sea and risk your life, just to be sent back. Greg.
As the border crisis worsens, Biden administration blames high costs from move to close an immigration and customs enforcement facility in Dilley, Texas. According to the Wall Street Journal, the center, which is used to hold those who illegally cross the southern border, is more expensive to operate than other facilities. And a Reuters report from last year indicated the government could save $129 million by closing it. Currently, reports indicate without additional funding from Congress, there will be no more space to hold illegal aliens who await deportation. As a result, they will likely be released into the United States. Let's talk about that right now with constitutional attorney, Victory News contributor Chris Ann Hall. Welcome to Victory News.
Thank you so much. I'm always a pleasure to be here.
Okay, 6 suspected ISIS terrorists arrested who crossed illegally into the United States. Now the Biden administration closes an immigration enforcement center in Texas. They're going to save $129 million. Will this decision help Americans keep us safe from other dangerous people like the 8 who were thankfully apprehended?
Well, let us remember that Matthew 7:16 says that we are to know people by their fruits. So what do we know about the Biden administration by their fruits regarding the border? And I can tell you from their fruits, we know that the Biden administration is not concerned about the safety of America. And I believe by their fruits, we also know that they are dangerously supporting and promoting the destruction of the safety of America with their policies.
Okay, let's move over to Hunter for a second. Politico is reporting that President Biden blamed his re-election campaign for his son Hunter Biden's conviction on federal gun charges, saying if he weren't running, Hunter would have received the original plea deal. Your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is we can't control Biden's narrative, but we can control our own. It's really, really important to recognize that Hunter Biden was not convicted on gun charges. Hunter Biden was convicted for lying on a federal form. We have to stop talking about these things in terms of gun charges, because what we're really doing is inadvertently advocating for the unconstitutional, anti-life, anti-liberty regulations the federal government is putting on our rights to keep and bear arms.